Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about something a little bit different than we did yesterday, or I mean, not yesterday, last week. Sorry, this week went by so quick, y'all. Um, but yeah, it's going to be a little different, I know I asked myself this question whenever I got into college, and I know there's a lot of you out there that are probably going to ask the same thing or wondering the same thing, right? So what it is you made it to college. So what now? Like what are you supposed to do now that your work's finally paid off, or you think it's paid off? Just because you got into college doesn't mean that you're going to stop working hard. If anything, it means that you're going to have to work harder to achieve your dreams and goals, right? Because college is just a way to step up, and like college should propel you to the next big thing, whether that's going straight to the workforce or that's going to a graduate school, right? An example, medical school, nursing school, or um, research, whatever, any PhD program, any master's program. You need a bachelor's to do that, right? And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk about, what's a bachelor's, how many bachelors there are, what's a credit, what's a major, all that good stuff that you're probably going to not know, until you get into college and you start college, right? So hopefully this video will help you get acquainted with those terms, and like know exactly what your advisors or counselors, are going to be talking to you about. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen. And there we go. All right, so you made it into college. What now? So first of all, we're going to talk about what is the difference between a BS and a BA, right? So when you're in college, you'll be working towards a Bachelor of Science or Bachelor's of Arts. They're two different choices. What you choose does matter, right? Because some programs may require you to do a Bachelor of Science, some will require you to do a Bachelor's of Arts, some graduate schools will require you to have a Bachelor of Science, or some won't care and they might say you may have either or, So do your research, right, before you choose a program, because that can change things up a bit for you. So a Bachelor of Science tends to focus on a specific scientific or technical subject and requires more credit hours that are directly linked to your major, right? I'm going to talk about what a major is here in a second. So it's directly linked to your major, to your course hours, right? Most of these credits tend to be science heavy, and I say most of them, right? A Bachelor of Arts, it requires fewer credits towards your major, right, that are directly linked to your major. Most of these credits tend to be somewhere between liberal arts, English, anthropology, psychology, just to name a few, social studies, right, political science, But I will tell you this, there are some science majors that can and will allow you to get a Bachelor of Arts. And you can get a BA in physics, or a BA in chemistry, right? Just because it has science in it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get a Bachelor of Science with it. So what is the credit? Okay. So, in high school, you take classes, right? And those classes count towards your degree, right? Count towards your high school diploma. You need to meet a certain amount of classes to meet the requirements for your high school degree, high school diploma, right? In college is very similar. In college, what we use are credits, right? So credits are given to a specific class, right? Each class is going to come with a certain amount of credit hours. They typically range from 1 to 4 hours, right? The number of hours are determined by the amount of time that you spend in the classroom each week. Typically 1 credit hours will be your lab, right? And then 4 credit hours, which is the max that I've ever taken for one specific class, tends to be a class that has a lecture and a lab built into it, right? So a lecture is literally just class. And then bachelor's, like I said, a bachelor's degree is composed of a certain amount of credit hours that you must meet in order to earn your degree. And I just saw a typo. So it's supposed to say you must meet, not year. I don't know where that came from. But let's move forward. So what is a major? So a major is a focus concentration of your degree. They're typically what you hear when someone says they're going to school for engineering, or they're going to school to become a nurse, or they're going to school to study business, marketing, whatever, right? Um, Majors can be used to go straight into the workforce, or they can also be used to continue your education, right? So a lot of people will go into your undergrad, which is your Bachelor of Science or Bachelor's of Arts, and they will say, I want to go into medical school after this. So they will typically tend to major in something like biology, chemistry, right? Biomedical sciences, to name a few. So some people are bold and they decide to do engineering. I was one of them, and I still am one of them. So all majors can lead to different job routes. Uh, just because you major in something does not necessarily mean that is what you're going to be working in, right? So I know for one of my jobs, I actually talked to a lot of alumni, right? And I got a lot of insight of like what they came to school for, what they major in, and what they're doing now. The other day, I was talking to someone that had major in political science and was working in the oil field. And to me, that just it blew my mind, right? Because you don't hear of that, but that's an example of, just because you go to school for political science doesn't mean you're gonna end up there, Uh, a lot of people decide to major in engineering and then they go into sales or marketing, right? And they go into sales or whatever, right? There's a lot of options when it comes to your job. Um, your degrees is going to open so many doors for you, right? So what is a minor? So I know a lot of you may have heard the term major, and minor might be a little foreign to you guys, right? So a minor is a secondary concentration, right? So you have your main focus, right? So let's say I'm majoring in mechanical engineering. My main focus is going to be those mechanical engineering classes, right? And then if I want to add a minor to it, let's say I want to minor in something like business, I'm going to take anywhere from 15 to 18 credit hours of that specific particular subject, right? So I'll take 3 hours of accounting, 3 hours of business management, 3 hours of business law, 3 hours of finance, I'm going to take certain classes to make up for that secondary concentration. However, this is not a major, so I don't get an extra degree for this, right? Or I don't get an extra bachelor's. It's just added on to my education, right? So usually people get minors in something that they find interesting, but don't want to major in, or they just want to know more on the matter. And like I said, they usually range between 15 to 18 credit hours, as opposed to a major, which are typically 120 plus credit hours. It also allows you to gain training in another discipline, right? So let's say with engineering, I don't get any kind of business training, right? So whenever I go into the business world, right, or industry, right, I want to know what they're talking about, right, or not be a complete outsider to a specific subject or topic. So me minoring in business will give me some of that insight and some of those technical skills per se. So how do I choose what to major in? This question. I personally have changed my major 3 times, which is a lot, I think, just because I didn't know what I wanted to do after I got out of high school, right? I always said I want to be an engineer, but then I was like, okay, maybe I can be a doctor. And then I was like, well, I'm not sure. So let me go back into engineering. Uh, so if you find yourself in this situation, right, and I wish someone would have told me this, focus on the first 2 years of your undergrad. And the reason I say this is because your first 2 years, you're just going to be taking a lot of like the state mandated classes, right? Like political science, English, history, right? Math, any kind of science, right? Classes that you are required by the state to take. So focus on those classes, see what you like, see what you don't like, right? I know I wish I would have done that, right? I took those classes and I was just like, okay, I need to take this, but I never really dived into and ask myself this question: do I like this class? What do I like about this class? What I do not like about this class, right? So ask yourself those questions, right? If you find yourself in this situation where you don't know what you want to major in, it is totally okay. But what I don't want you to do is to just take on classes just for the fun of it, right? Because you're spending money and you're spending time, right? And time is money. Don't feel rushed. College, most people graduate college in 4.5 years. Some people take 5, 6. It depends on what you major in, it depends on what you do, what you've done, that keeps you in college that long. But like I said, focus on those first 2 years, right? Use those first 2 years to go and explore different colleges, right? So go talk to advisors, ask them, hey, what is this major? What can I do with this major, right? Also think about what you want to do in the future, right? If you know you want to go into engineering, don't go major in business or don't go major in psychology, right? Because as much as I said earlier, right, about the guy with political science and then working in the oil field, right? That's a very, very one in a million kind of chance of happening, right? So I know he got his job because he actually worked on the oil rig, right? So he had to start on the actual rigs and work himself up with that knowledge, right? It would have been a little easier, let's say, if he had majored in petroleum engineering or chemical engineering, right, or mechanical engineering, to not have started on the oil rigs, right, and gone straight maybe to like more of a corporate role. So that's why I say go talk to advisors, ask them, questions, and see what they can help you with and what they can do. Uh, and yeah, no. So many people also know that what they want to end up in a certain career, right? So let's say I go into college and I'm like, I want to go into engineering, right? So bam, I'm gonna major in engineering. Or let's say I want to go into business, then bang, gonna go into accounting, finance, marketing, management, But most importantly, go ask questions. You have time. I don't care how busy you think you are, how busy you say you are, you definitely have time to go ask these very important questions. So another question: do I need a minor? You absolutely do not need a minor, right? If you want a minor, you can get a minor, but you don't need a minor, right? A lot of people, like I said earlier, they like to do minors because they gain technical skills in a certain field. And it doesn't hurt to have a minor. An easy way to pick a minor is by going to an advisor in the respective college and ask them about their minor options. And by college, I mean, once you get into the university, there's different colleges, right? So you have the College of Engineering, the College of Liberal Arts, the business school, right? College of Education, Human Resources, College of Veterinary Medicine. There's a lot of different colleges within a university, right? So that's what I mean by respective college, right? Because you wouldn't go ask an engineering advisor about a minor in anthropology or a minor in business, right? Because they probably wouldn't be able to tell you anything. So now let's talk about extracurricular activities. Yo, this is my favorite. College is fun, but it can be draining, right? So extracurricular activities help you join organizations that you may share a common interest with, right? It lets you meet people that you have common interests with. It also helps you network because once you're out of college, guess what? You need to find a job. And an easy way to do that is by networking with other people, right? They also teach you a lot of technical and value skills that you will need in the workforce. A lot of times I find myself referencing different organizations that I was a part of when it comes to leadership positions, technical skills that I may have. And a lot of employers like that, because it shows that you can work with people. Also, not just that, but college can get lonely. If you don't go out of your way to make friends and you go to a big university like Texas A&M, you will start feeling a little lonely, right? So do yourself a favor, get out of your dorm, get out of your apartment, get out of your house, get out of your room, and go join something. So, what are you going to do to make the best of the next 4 to 5 years? I want you to ask this question as soon as you get into college. Where do you want to be in 4 to 5 years? What do you want to do? Like, what do you want to have accomplished by the time you leave college? Um, so, on that note, I hope you guys enjoyed this little presentation that I did. Sorry for the little misspell on my PowerPoint. Uh, but other than that, I hope you guys have a great weekend.